A stronger you, a more disciplined you, a more confident you, a more focused you, a more courageous you. A version of you that wakes up with purpose, works with intensity, keeps promises to yourself, and refuses to spend another year wondering what could have been. And the most painful part is this: that person is not waiting for someone else to create them. That person is already inside you. The question is not whether you have potential. The question is whether you are willing to stop wasting it. Because potential means nothing if you never turn it into performance. Talent means nothing if you refuse to develop it. Dreams mean nothing if you continue living according to habits that are completely incompatible with the future you say you want. You may have more ability than you are using, more intelligence than you are applying, more courage than you are demonstrating, more opportunities than you are noticing, more strength than you realize. But potential is not your destiny. Potential is an invitation. And every day you either accept that invitation or reject it. Think about that. Every morning you are given another opportunity to become more of the person you were capable of becoming. Another opportunity to improve your skills. Another opportunity to make the difficult decision. Another opportunity to stop procrastinating, another opportunity to take control of your time, your thoughts, your habits, your priorities, and your future. But there is a dangerous thing that happens when you repeatedly live below your potential. You get comfortable, you become accustomed to doing less than you can do. You become comfortable with excuses, comfortable with distraction, comfortable with unfinished goals, comfortable with saying, I'll start tomorrow. And eventually, tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month becomes next year. And suddenly you look back and realize that the biggest thing standing between you and the life you wanted was not a lack of ability. It was a lack of action. That realization can hurt, but it can also set you free. Because if the problem is that you have been living below your potential, then the solution is not complicated. You don't need to become somebody else. You need to become more fully yourself. You need to stop negotiating with the weaker version of you. You need to stop asking, what can I get away with? And start asking, what am I capable of? That is a completely different question. When you ask what you can get away with, you search for the minimum. When you ask what you're capable of, you search for possibility, and your life changes when your standards change. So let me ask you something. What would happen if, for the next 12 months, you stopped trying to live an easy life and started trying to build a meaningful one? What if you stopped waiting to feel motivated? What if you stopped needing everybody to approve of your decisions? What if you stopped spending hours consuming information and started applying what you already know? What if you stopped making excuses for your weaknesses and started strengthening them? What if you stopped talking about your goals and started working on them? Your life could change dramatically, not because of one giant breakthrough, but because of hundreds of small decisions made consistently. And that is where we begin. You must understand that your future is being created by what you repeatedly do today. Your potential is not revealed by what you say you want. It is revealed by what you repeatedly practice. You say you want financial freedom. What are you doing every day to increase your value? You say you want success. What are you doing every day to develop the skills success requires? You say you want confidence. What difficult things are you doing that force you to become confident? You say you want a better life. What habits are you willing to eliminate to make room for it? Because everyone wants the result. Very few people want the routine that produces the result. Everyone wants the strong body. Few want the discipline of training. Everyone wants wealth. Few want the years of learning, saving, investing, creating, and solving problems. Everyone wants recognition. Few want to spend years becoming excellent when nobody is watching. Everyone wants freedom. Few want the responsibility required to earn it. And this is why so many people live below their potential. They are in love with the destination, but unwilling to embrace the process. You cannot build an extraordinary life with ordinary commitment. You cannot repeatedly make average decisions and expect exceptional results. Something has to change, and it starts with your standards. Your standards determine what you tolerate. If you tolerate constantly being late, you will remain late. If you tolerate unfinished work becomes normal. If you tolerate wasting hours on distractions, distraction becomes your lifestyle. If you tolerate negative thinking, negativity becomes your mental environment. If you tolerate breaking promises to yourself, eventually you stop trusting yourself, and that last one is especially dangerous because confidence is not something you simply think your way into. Confidence is built through evidence. Every time you tell yourself you will do something and then do it, you build self-trust. Every time you say you will wake up early and you get up when the alarm rings, you build self-trust. Every time you say you will finish the task and you finish it, you build self-trust. Every time you choose discipline over convenience, you build self-trust. And every time you make a promise to yourself and break it, you weaken that trust. So stop making promises you don't intend to keep. Instead, make smaller promises and keep every one of them. Tell yourself, today, I will complete this one important task. Then complete it. Tell yourself, for the next 30 minutes, I will focus without checking my phone. Then do it. Tell yourself, I will spend 1 hour developing a valuable skill. Then do it. Small victories create momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates larger action, and larger action creates results. This is how transformation happens, not overnight, but every day. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. If you want to stop living below your potential, you have to become honest about where you are wasting your life. Look at your day, not your intentions, your actual day. Where does your time go? What do you do when nobody is watching? How much time do you spend learning? How much time do you spend producing? How much time do you spend complaining? How much time do you spend scrolling? How much time do you spend thinking about what other people are doing? How much time do you spend planning instead of executing? Your calendar doesn't lie. Your habits don't lie. Your results don't lie. If you want to know what you truly value, look at what receives your time and attention. And if you don't like what you see, don't become discouraged. Become responsible, because responsibility is powerful. The moment you stop blaming your circumstances for everything, you regain control. Maybe you didn't choose where you started. Maybe you didn't receive the opportunities someone else received. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe you wasted years. Maybe you were surrounded by people who didn't believe in you. Maybe you failed more times than you can count. Fine. That is your history. It is not your identity. And it certainly does not have to be your future. You cannot change yesterday, but you can change what you do today. And what you do today can change what tomorrow looks like. This is why you must stop using your past as a prison. Use it as a teacher. Your mistakes can become education. Your failures can become feedback. Your disappointments can become strength. Your difficult seasons can become evidence that you are capable of surviving difficult seasons. You don't need a perfect past to build an extraordinary future. You need a decision, a real decision, not I hope things get better, not maybe someday, not I'll try. A decision says, this is who I am becoming, and I am willing to do what is required. There is power in that decision. Because once you decide who you are becoming, your choices become easier. If you're becoming disciplined, you don't ask whether you feel like working. You work. If you're becoming financially responsible, you don't ask whether you should waste money on something unnecessary. You follow the plan. If you're becoming a leader, you don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. You take initiative. If you're becoming excellent, you don't stop when you become average. You keep improving. Your identity begins to guide your behavior. And this is why you need a clear picture of the person you want to become. Don't just set goals. Build a vision of yourself. Ask yourself, how does that person think? How does that person spend their mornings? How do they handle pressure? How do they respond to failure? How do they speak to themselves? What do they refuse to tolerate? What skills have they developed? What habits have they eliminated? What responsibilities have they accepted? What kind of person must you become to achieve the life you want? That question will change everything, because your biggest goal is not merely to get something. Your biggest goal is to become someone capable of sustaining it. If you want more money, become more valuable. If you want more influence, become more useful. If you want more confidence, become more competent. If you want more freedom, become more responsible. If you want more opportunities, become more prepared. Opportunity often looks like luck from the outside, but preparation is what allows you to recognize it and act on it. You don't need to know exactly when your opportunity will arrive. You need to be ready when it does. That means you must develop yourself every day. Read, study, practice, ask questions. Learn from people who have already achieved what you want. Develop your communication. Develop your ability to solve problems. Develop your ability to sell ideas. Develop your ability to manage time. Develop your ability to concentrate. Develop your ability to handle rejection. Develop your ability to keep going when the excitement disappears. Because your income, your influence, and your opportunities tend to grow as your ability to create value grows. And here is one of the most important principles you can apply. Do not try to improve everything at once. Choose one major area. One, maybe it is your career, maybe it is your health, maybe it is your finances, maybe it is your education, maybe it is your business, maybe it is your discipline. Choose the area that, if improved, would create the greatest positive effect on the rest of your life. Then attack it. Give it focused attention every day. Don't become addicted to starting, become committed to finishing. The world is full of people who start. They start businesses, start diets, start books, start courses, start projects, start routines, start goals, and then they quit. Your advantage can be incredibly simple. Finish what you start, complete the course, finish the project, make the call, prop the proposal, study the material, practice the skill, have the difficult conversation, do the work. You don't have to be the most talented person in the room. You have to be the person who keeps showing up. Consistency beats intensity when intensity doesn't last. You don't need to work 20 hours today. You need to work intelligently today and come back tomorrow. You don't need to transform your entire life by Monday. You need to make one better decision today, then another tomorrow, then another the day after that. Your life is not changed by what you do occasionally. Your life is changed by what you do consistently, and now we reach one of the biggest enemies of your potential: distraction. You live in a world designed to compete for your attention. Every notification says, "Look at me." Every headline says, "Click me." Every platform says, "Stay longer." Every distraction tells you that your dream can wait, but your dream has a price, and the price is attention. If you give your best attention to everything except your goals, don't be surprised when your goals remain unfinished. You cannot build a powerful future while constantly giving away your concentration. Protect your attention. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Put your phone away when you're doing important work, dascato, periods of deep focus. Stop checking what everyone else is doing. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. Stop consuming endlessly. Create more than you consume. Build more than you browse. Practice more than you talk. Sake, more than you announce. You do not need everybody to know what you're building. You need to build it. There is a strange power in becoming quiet and focused. While everyone else is announcing their plans, you work. While everyone else is seeking attention, you improve. While everyone else is looking for shortcuts, you master fundamentals, and one day the results become so obvious that you no longer need to explain yourself. That is the kind of person you should become. Not someone who constantly talks about potential, someone whose life demonstrates it. And here's another truth you must accept. You will not always feel motivated. Some mornings you will wake up tired. Some days you will doubt yourself. Some weeks will produce disappointing results. There will be rejection. There will be criticism. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when the old version of you whispers, "Why are you even trying?" That is the moment your commitment matters. Anybody can work when they feel inspired. The person who changes their life learns to work when inspiration disappears. That is discipline. Discipline is doing what matters even when you don't feel like doing it, and discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. You are saying, my future matters more than my temporary comfort. Read that again in your mind. My future matters more than my temporary comfort. That principle can change your life. When you want to sleep instead of work, remember your future. When you want to spend instead of save, remember your future. When you want to quit instead of continue, remember your future. When you want to choose distraction instead of development, remember your future. You are always choosing between something you want now and something you want more later. Successful people learn to delay gratification. They understand that today's discipline can create tomorrow's freedom. And this is where you must become patient, because one of the reasons people live below their potential is that they expect immediate results. They work for 2 weeks and become frustrated. They save for 3 months and complain that they're not wealthy. They exercise for a month and expect a completely different body. They study for a few weeks and expect mastery. But life doesn't work that way. Seeds don't become trees overnight. Skills don't become mastery overnight. Businesses don't become great overnight. Character doesn't become strong overnight. You have to respect the process. There are seasons where you're working hard and nobody notices. There are seasons where you're improving, but the results are invisible. There are seasons where you have to keep going without applause. Those seasons are not wasted. They are building the foundation, and eventually what was invisible becomes visible. The discipline becomes confidence. The practice becomes skill. The saving becomes financial stability. The learning becomes expertise. The persistence becomes achievement. But you have to stay in the game long enough for the transformation to appear. So stop asking, how quickly can I succeed? Start asking, how long am I willing to remain committed? That is a stronger question, because if you decide that you are willing to keep learning, improving, adapting, and working for years, you become extremely difficult to stop. Failure can't stop someone who learns from it. Rejection can't stop someone who keeps improving. Criticism can't stop someone who knows their purpose. Slow progress can't stop someone who understands compounding, and obstacles can't stop someone who sees obstacles as part of the journey. You don't need an easy road, you need a reason strong enough to keep walking. So what is your reason? Why do you want more? Why do you want to become stronger? Why do you want financial freedom? Why do you want to build something meaningful? Why do you want to make your family proud? Why do you want to prove something to yourself? Why do you refuse to settle? Find that reason, because when your reason is powerful enough, your excuses become weaker. And now I want you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, today. Decide that you will no longer live at the level of your excuses. Decide that you will stop waiting for perfect conditions. Decide that you will stop asking for permission to become great. Decide that you will stop measuring your life against other people's lives. Decide that you will stop letting temporary discomfort control permanent decisions. Decide that you will use your time with intention. Decide that you will develop your mind. Decide that you will strengthen your body. Decide that you will improve your skills. Decide that you will manage your money. Decide that you will keep your promises to yourself. And most importantly, decide that your current circumstances do not get the final word. You may be starting from behind. Start anyway. You may be afraid. Move anyway. You may not feel ready. Prepare while moving. You may have failed. Learn and go again. You may have wasted years. Don't waste another day. You may not know exactly how to reach the destination. Take the next step. You don't need the entire staircase visible. You need enough courage to take the next step, and once you take that step, take another, then another, and eventually you will look back and realize something incredible. You didn't become a different person overnight. You simply stopped betraying your potential one decision at a time. You stopped quitting. You stopped procrastinating. You stopped waiting. You stopped allowing distractions to control your attention. You stopped letting fear make your decisions. You stopped accepting less from yourself. And you started becoming the person you always knew you could be. That is the real victory. Not money, not applause, not status, not recognition. The real victory is looking in the mirror and knowing you gave your best. Knowing you didn't leave your abilities unused. Knowing you didn't allow fear to write your story. Knowing you didn't spend your life wondering what you could have achieved because there is a particular kind of regret that comes from failure. But there is another kind of regret that is much more painful. It is the regret of knowing you could have done more, you could have tried, you could have learned, you could have started, you could have persisted. You could have taken the opportunity, you could have become more. Don't let that be your story. Years from now, you should not be asking, what would have happened if I had believed in myself? You should be saying, I'm proud that I didn't quit. You should be able to look at your life and say, I took the opportunity I was given, I developed what I had, I worked with what was available, I kept learning, I kept growing. I kept moving. That is the life worth building. And remember this, you don't have to prove your potential to the world. You have to prove it to yourself. Every morning you wake up, you are standing at a crossroads. One direction leads toward comfort, distraction, excuses, and repetition. The other leads toward growth, discipline, responsibility, courage, and possibility. And the choice is made in small moments. When the alarm rings, when the work gets difficult, when nobody is watching, when you want to quit, when you are tempted to procrastinate, when fear tells you to stay where you are, those moments define you. Not the speeches, not the plans, not the dreams, the decisions. So today, make one decision that your future self will thank you for. Finish the thing you've been postponing. Make the call you've been avoiding. Start the project, ride the book, learn the skill, doctorate the plan, dem the distraction, wake up earlier, work harder, think bigger, save the money, take responsibility, and then do it again tomorrow. Because your potential is not a gift you receive once. It is something you develop through action. You don't discover your potential by sitting around thinking about it. You discover it by testing yourself. You discover it by attempting difficult things. You discover it by pushing beyond the level that feels comfortable. You discover it by finding out how much more you can learn, how much more you can endure, how much more you can create, and how much more you can contribute. There is more in you, more discipline, more courage, more creativity, more strength, more wisdom, more ability, more possibility. But nobody can unlock it for you. You have to do that. And maybe you've been waiting for motivation. Stop waiting. Maybe you've been waiting for confidence. Build it through action. Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect opportunity. Prepare yourself so thoroughly that when opportunity appears, you are ready. Maybe you've been waiting for someone to believe in you. Believe in yourself first. Maybe you've been waiting for life to become easier, become stronger. That is the shift. Don't ask life to demand less from you. Become capable of handling more. Don't ask for fewer challenges. Develop the strength to overcome greater challenges. Don't ask for an easier road. Become the person who can walk the difficult road. Because your goal is not to make your potential smaller so that your current life feels comfortable. Your goal is to expand yourself until your life can contain everything you are capable of becoming. So from this day forward, stop asking, what is the minimum I can do? Ask, what is this I can do? Stop asking, can I get away with this? Ask, will this move me forward? Stop asking, what if I fail? Ask, what will I learn if I try? Stop asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I do about it? Stop asking, when will somebody notice me? Ask, how can I become so valuable that my results speak for me? And stop asking, am I capable? Start proving that you are. Your potential deserves a chance. Your future deserves your effort. Your goals deserve your discipline. Your family deserves the best version of you. And you deserve to discover what happens when you stop holding yourself back. There is no guarantee that the journey will be easy. There is no guarantee that everyone will understand. There is no guarantee that you will never fail. But there is one thing you can guarantee. You can decide to stop living beneath your ability. You can decide to stop wasting your days. You can decide to stop negotiating with your excuses. You can decide to stop allowing temporary emotions to control permanent decisions. You can decide to become disciplined. You can decide to become focused. You can decide to become useful. You can decide to become courageous. You can decide to become the person your goals require. And once you make that decision, protect it, because your future will be built by the standards you refuse to lower. There is a greater life waiting on the other side of your excuses. There is a stronger version of you waiting on the other side of your fear. There is a more capable version of you waiting on the other side of discipline. And there is a future that you cannot see yet, but you can build. So get up, get serious, get focused. Stop wasting your greatest resource, your time. Stop waiting for somebody else to rescue your dreams. Stop living like you have unlimited tomorrows. You don't. You have today, and today is enough to begin. One decision, one habit, 1 hour, one task, one courageous action, then another and another, until the person you imagine becoming is no longer an imagination, until discipline becomes your identity, until action becomes your habit, until excellence becomes your standard, until the life you once thought was impossible becomes your normal. And one day you will look back at the version of yourself who was afraid, distracted, uncertain, and living below his potential. And you will thank him for making one decision to stop waiting, to stop making excuses, to stop settling, to stop wasting what he had. And to finally step forward. Your potential is not asking for permission. It is asking for action. So don't leave this moment inspired and unchanged. Leave it decided to work, decided to grow, decided to learn, decided to discipline, you're decided to take responsibility, decided to become more, because the greatest tragedy is not that you have limitations. The greatest tragedy would be having extraordinary potential and never discovering how far it could have taken you. Don't let that happen. You have one life, one mind. One opportunity to become the person you were capable of becoming. And from this moment forward, refuse to live beneath it. Rise your standards, rise your effort, rise your expectations of yourself. And then raise your actions to match them. Because your future is not waiting for the perfect version of you. Your future is waiting for the committed version of you, the version that gets up when it's hard. The version that keeps going when it's slow, the version that learns when it fails, the version that works when nobody applauds, the version that chooses purpose over comfort, the version that refuses to settle for less simply because less is easier. Become that person, not someday, today, and when tomorrow comes, become that person again. That is how you stop living below your potential. That is how you reclaim your time. That is how you rebuild your confidence. That is how you transform your habits. That is how you change your direction. And that is how one disciplined decision after another, you create a life that finally reflects the person you were always capable of becoming.